Welcome to Ponchatoula Live, the show where we make it easy for you to connect with the people of Ponchatoula. As usual, I've got a fantastic guest, but today I'm a little extra excited about our guest because I feel like I have the opportunity here to introduce you, the people of Ponchatoula, to our new football coach. Now, I know that's wrong because folks already know Coach Trey Willie. He was Coach Hank's right-hand man for nearly a decade as PHS has been on this historic run of success, but he's now filling the big shoes, sitting in the big chair, and he's the guy who's going to give us his time, share his story. So with no further ado, Coach Trey Willie, welcome to the show.
Nice to be here.
Thank you for coming. Why don't we kick things off with you just telling our viewers a little bit about yourself?
I was born and raised in La Ronge, the big city of La Ronge.
Yeah, metropolis.
Just grew up playing sports my whole life. I had an older cousin that was always, bigger than me, and he kind of pushed me to be more competitive and stuff like that. But coached by my dad my entire life until I got into high school, and probably the hardest coach I've ever played for. Then went on.
What was his style? I mean, I'm sure you take some things from him, leave some behind, but as the player for Dad, what do you remember?
What I remember with him with the other kids were more like he would get onto them, but then he would love on them. But me, I had to go home. I heard it, from the car ride home.
Right.
When I got home, it was nonstop. But one of the main things is that they'll always be early. We probably showed up an hour to 30 minutes early every practice, game, whatever it may be.
Yeah, that's great. So you growing up, your dad's coaching you. Is that in all sports or just football, or what was the
football, basketball, baseball, and a lot of people don't know I probably played more baseball and basketball than I did football. I only played
really?
2 years.
That's surprising because I think most of us know you as a college quarterback and a Southeastern guy. So yeah, tell us about those other sports.
I played a catcher in baseball, and I grew up, just my dad threw me back there one time. He's like, block the ball, don't let the ball get to the fence. And then I realized it's a long run to that fence. So I just kind of stayed in the way, and it kind of just worked out, and I was pretty decent at it. And then I played high school basketball. I was a point guard. Then I ended up being a center because, we didn't have too many great players at La Ronge in my senior year. So,
so you had like a Magic Johnson 1980s Game 6 moment where you went from the point down low?
I wish I was that talented, but no. I would just bring the ball up, pass it to somebody that could shoot, and then I'd go try to rebound. But
nice.
And then I ended up playing football my junior and senior year of high school.
Oh wow! So you didn't even. So so what happened there? What's the story with not playing freshman and sophomore year, and then getting back into it?
I always played football growing up, but I was really small. And then between probably my freshman and sophomore summer, I grew a little bit. And I remember talking to the coach and saying, I'd like to play football. And he was like, well, you missed the summer, you missed fall camp, you missed spring football. So now you can be the manager on Friday nights and you can practice with us. So I practiced for a year and would go hand out water on Friday nights.
Oh, wow. Well, you're talking to a guy who can relate to that. I wasn't a manager, but close. But, I grew up here in Ponchatoula where my dad was a very good high school quarterback on a very good PHS team in the 50s. And then my brother Bree was all district and then even scored a couple touchdowns on defense his senior year. But I went from being a little conference starting quarterback to a junior conference backup quarterback to being the stat guy in high school. So I was just taking stats. But I know that's menial work, so you must have had to want it because to be a guy who's a jock in every other part of life, in every other season, to be in there, washing jock straps or, carrying coolers or whatever you had to do, you must really wanted to play. So that shows a lot of dedication there.
That's right. And I always played quarterback, and they actually put me at receiver to, I guess, want to compete more. And we actually had a kid that was a very talented quarterback and / receiver. And kicker, he could do it all.
Oh wow!
He was the quarterback, and we were the same age. And then I think one day he got banged up at practice or banged up in a game, and I ended up coming in, and I did well. And then with him playing receiver, it just made us a better team. So so I would say the rest is history. But I kind of worked my way through that way.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, you must have been pretty good because you're memorable in this regard. My wife, who's a graduate of your rival high school at Independence, cares about zero about football, but she does remember your name. When she heard I was interviewing Trey Willie, she said, oh, yeah. So she told me about the great Lips-Willie rivalry of that era. And I think that's the first time I've brought her, to Yankee Stadium. She couldn't tell you who Babe Ruth is, but yeah, so that you have that going for you. I want to share a comment here with you, Coach. Speaking of great guys who know a thing or two about coaching sports, Kevin and Karen Rayford are a wonderful local couple here. Has commented. He says, great coaching family, and he's so proud of you, Trey. And it's so well deserved, and good luck this season. Kevin, thank you for tuning in. That's a great guy that I grew up with and played a lot of ball with over the years. He and my brother Bree were in the same class, and just a great guy. So, folks, as you can see, we have the ability here to share your comments with Coach Willie. So if you've got a question about the upcoming season, if you've got a comment, please by all means keep it positive. But of course, coming off the season we just had, there's little but positive to talk about these days. It's not your typical high school sports gripe session around here. But so Coach, you're talking about coming up, playing ball at Laranja. I think most of us know you went on to play quarterback at Southeastern. What was that transition like, and how did that happen? Because the Southeastern football program is not typical, right? In that it was kind of there a while, then away a while, and it came back. And I don't know where you fit into that timeline, but could you tell us a little bit about that experience?
It was actually a strange one. Also, I actually went there to play. I walked on to play baseball, and I was a bullpen catcher for a year, and then they brought football back. So I was, I always loved football for some reason. I don't know why. I was probably a better baseball player, but I'm not saying I was great at that either. But I just love being a part of the program, like in the different groups of people that's involved in football. And so it just kind of brought me back to that point of that I went to try out. And then they actually moved me to tight end. Then I got, we had some quarterbacks quit, so I was competing to be like the backup quarterback my junior year. And then the starting quarterback ended up leaving after my junior year, and then I ended up kind of competing for the starting job. So it was kind of like, I don't know, I got lucky, and I tell a lot of people that, and that in that next level, that college level, a lot of times you got to get lucky and catch a break.
Yeah, but you also got to be prepared for that opportunity and make the most of it, which it seems like you did at each level. And that had to be wild times because, you're talking about the Hal Mummy era of Southeastern football. I mean, airing it out. I mean, what a place to play quarterback. My dad's best friend, Hobby Morrison, was the team videographer back then.
Great man.
Yeah, Hobby, isn't he great? He's one of my favorite guys ever. And a lot of people here locally don't realize what a big deal he is in the world of videography. I mean, all the great commercials we grew up with, like Budweiser, Clydesdales running on the beach, or, from the Coke, you name it, Honey Nut Cheerios, he did it all. But, man, he was wild about you guys as a team. He just really enjoyed that a ton. So that's really cool. We've got a few other comments here I'd love to share. Mark Verbois, Coach Mark Verbois with the Ponchatoula High basketball team, says that he's excited to see Coach Willie as head coach of the program. You bring a ton of excitement from the players, students, staff, and community. Mark, thank you for sharing that. You're spot on. Tell me, Coach, how are y'all working with other coaches at the other sports at PHS? Because from what I understand, it's a much bigger campus than many of us remember, a much bigger sports program. And it's not, the old days when, for example, I mentioned my dad playing earlier, and there was the vaunted Coach Shield, this legendary head football coach. And then the basketball coach, Coach Bill Johnson, was the assistant football coach. And that may have been just about it for the sports program. PHS has come a long way, changed a lot. So would you mind taking just a minute to talk about how the different sports interact at PHS? Because we've had a lot of folks on here, from Coach Landesh to Mark Verbois before he was a coach, et cetera. But tell us a little bit about how y'all cooperate on campus.
I mean, we share a lot of the same players, like with basketball and baseball and track. I know, like, we start early in the morning. I think like over the summer doing our workouts and stuff like that. And then basketball kind of goes in the midday. And then we have some baseball guys. I think our baseball team's playing somewhere in the summer league today. So, you just kind of share your guys, and, you kind of root for them to play multiple sports. I always say it'd be bad if I told a kid just to play football when I played multiple sports in high school. But, I think it's important for our kids to play, dual sports or, multiple sports, because, you only get to play high school football, high school basketball, high school baseball one time in your life. You can't go back, 20 years from now and say, I wish I'd have did this. You just got to let them enjoy it.
You don't want to be like Uncle Rico and Napoleon Dynamite
That's right.
talking about how you could have won state. We got a good buddy, Chaney Phillips. That's Papa C in my family. The great Chaney Phillips is asking Trey whether you are related to Willie and Burn Willie of Laranja. Is that family of yours?
Bernie and Willie is my dad. There's a Bernie Willie that is from like the Folsom area. That's like my dad's.
Oh, well, you know what? He says Bernie first, and then he says Vernon. He said he also coached Vernon in Summer League All Stars.
Oh yeah, that's
really
my dad.
Good second baseman. Yeah,
that's my dad. Vernon's my dad. Yeah.
Okay, that was your dad and coach. Very cool. Mm-hmm. Well, Papa C, we know you had some game back in the day, so I trust you on that. Got several other good comments coming in here. Dana and Graphia says, well deserved, coach. You're a great
my
coach.
Teaching partners. She taught next to me, like I said.
What do they say? It takes one to know one, right?
Yeah,
she knows her stuff. Mm-hmm. So she says, congrats there. Excuse me. And Miss Faye Ivaniski, Miss Faye, you're pulling a doubleheader with me. She commented in the last show earlier today, but she's heard a lot of great things about you, and she can't wait to watch. So we talked a little bit about your college experience. When did it hit you that you might want to go into coaching and kind of share your knowledge with the next generation?
It was probably around when I started playing football with Coach Mommy. Like his son was our quarterback coach, and now he's at Colorado State. And but he was just fun to be around in the coach's office, or like when we would watch film and stuff like that. It made you enjoy enjoy playing. So it's kind of like those type of guys. Start playing an impact, and then I had a high school football coach that was a great mentor. I told him one day, I said, you're the reason why I went to coach high school, and he was like apologized to me because it's a different I guess breed to be a high school coach, because a lot of times you don't make a lot of the money that
it's like being a local cop. It's a very challenging position where you're one part counselor, one part teacher, you're wearing 10 hats, but they're not paying you for really even one, all one of them, much less all 10. So you're right, it's a thankless job. That's cool that he inspired you to want to do that. I would imagine with your resume, anybody who's watched Friday Night Lights knows Coach Taylor could go off to bigger things like college and whatnot. He always found his way back, but that's cool. So tell us about that. So you these guys kind of, inspire you to want to do it. Did you go straight into coaching, or, what happened after college? What was the next chapter?
I graduated in I think it was May of 2006, and I ended up starting at Hammond High, of all places, Hammond High. My first year coaching in August of 2006. And I kind of met Coach Mike Baamani there, which kind of taught me and introduced me to Coach Hank, which actually taught me how to start being a good young coach.
Right.
Because sometimes you get with these coaches and they kind of just like, hey, do this, do that. But this Coach Mike and then meeting Coach Hank kind of, taught me how to do it the right way at a young age, which, made me kind of fall more in love with the game and coaching and helping young men out.
Well, you make a good point there that it's so important. It's so critical to have the right mentors. When we watch ESPN, they're often talking about coaching trees, right? There's the Belichick coaching tree over here. And, I'm old, so I'm thinking of the old Bill Walsh, 49ers. But if you kind of come into the wrong situation and you've got a bad example at the top, I would imagine it's really, really hard to become a great coach because, that's what you learn, and it's hard to overcome it. So who have been some other mentors of yours? I mean, you mentioned your dad, your high school coach, Coach Mummy. Who else have you picked up, Coach Baamani and Coach Hank? Tell us about that and what you've learned.
No, those two, that's probably about,
that's the Mount Rushmore for you?
Yeah, that's the Mount Rushmore right there. That's the 5. Just like I started coaching with Coach Hank. We were both assistants under Coach Baamani at Ponchatoula, and in 3 years in coaching. And I just, I just fell in love with the knowledge and learning, and just, I remember staying up till 3:00 in the morning on a Friday night watching film, and and I was like, it's just what I want to do. But then I just, you kind of fall in love with it, and it's like I say, it's a thankless job sometimes. But then at the end of the day, when you see like a young man, achieve something that that probably wouldn't happen if you didn't work as hard, that's my payment right there.
Yeah. Now that's really cool. I've never been a real coach like you, but I've enjoyed coaching, youth sports over the years. And one of your best players from last season, Maury Walker, is the son of a kid I coached when he was 9 and 10. And, we've stayed close with the friends. And, I was bringing my kid to T-ball a couple of weeks or maybe a month or two ago. And by chance, I just saw them. They were out in the field. His dad, who was a heck of a player, he played at Mississippi State. Big Rob was throwing to his son, who was home from Michigan. And we went over there. My dad happened to be with me. My dad's 80, and he coached Rob with us too. And it just brought Dad so much pride to see multiple generations of this family that he had coached do well, because we had followed Rob all over. We went and watched him in Tiger Stadium. Actually kind of, at least on a play-by-play level, rooting against LSU for Rob to make a tackle, but still wanted him to lose the game. Went and, listened to cowbells in Mississippi State. When Maury was born, we bought him the full little Tyke set because we didn't know which sport he'd be great at. His dad was great at all of them, but it's like, and now he's got a 4.0 at Michigan. And that kid, that young man, a million times better than I ever will, and have a million times more impact into it. But I can't imagine how, and in this season in particular, when some of your players are going off and the top recruits in the country to the best schools, it must bring you guys a great pride and make those thankless, underpaid, long nights watching film worth it. I mean, am I onto something there, or am I barking up the wrong tree?
Yeah. I mean, it's especially like Amari and Jacoby, and we have DeMontre Osby went to Nichols, Cody Filling went to Southeastern, Braden Johnson went to Nichols, the two Cohen Trosco and Barlow, and then we have countless other guys going places. Just to see them, and it's not just to get away from Ponchatoula and get a chance to get a college degree for free, and
right,
and see him be successful in life.
Well, in Rob's case, he was the first guy in his family to graduate college, and now others. His sister went, and Rocky did great, and then his brother Reggie went all the way to the NFL. But you're right, you're making this impact, and it's so much beyond football, And we mentioned Amari; he's not just a great player; he's a great student right now. He's got a 4.0. Michigan's one of the best academic institutions in the country, and I know a big part of that was you guys forcing them to do their job in the classroom as well as the field. Can you talk about how y'all approach academics?
Well, it can be a headache sometimes. It gets some gray hair. You can see it in my beard now. But, we track their grades pretty much most of the year, all the year. Yeah. This year, we're going to do a little bit something different. We're going to put a coach over like the total academics, and then each coach is going to kind of track their grades. Because at first it was just me and Coach Van Pran. We'd do a lot of the tracking of the grades and stuff, and we'd have a couple other coaches. But it becomes a lot of work, and then
I bet, yeah.
And then we'll try to communicate with teachers, and because at the end of the day, they're the biggest part of this. That they allow these kids to, maybe come in for extra tutoring or anything like that. And so that's our big thing, is just making sure these kids get out of high school and make good grades and have a chance to better themselves in life.
Yeah. Well, folks, we're here with Coach Trey Willie, the head football coach at Ponchatoula High School. He's in his first year on the job, coming off the most successful run in PHS in any of our memories. Let's talk about the elephant in the room here, Coach, in that you have these colossal shoes to fill. Coach Hank Tierney is literally one of the best coaches in the country, not just the state of Louisiana. He's won 300 games, everything from state championship to you name it here. You had the good fortune to have him be a colleague, a mentor, a boss. What does that mean to you to be taken over for him? Would you learn from him particularly? And what's your approach to, this transition that's now, your responsibility?
I mean, like I said, it's bittersweet. You following a legend, a great mentor, a guy that kind of coached you up and taught, coach you as a coach, and then taught you the ropes. Yeah. But then you have some huge shoes to fill. But, I probably talk to him every other day, if not every day. So we communicate about a lot of things. And, I'm just picking his brain because, when you get into the head coaching seat, it's a lot more things that you didn't have to deal with and that he hid from us that you do as a head coach.
It's not all X's and O's. You got to deal with a lot more egos and personalities and people problems, I would assume. And I guess it's comforting to know he's just a phone call away, we as a community know you're up to the task. We were, everybody I knew that knew practically anything about football was, just hoping that this obvious decision to make you the head football coach would happen, but you never know till it happens, right?
That's right, man.
So, we were very relieved to see that happen. We've got another comment coming in here. Jamie LeBlanc says that you are such a good man and you have been and will be a role model that these players need. So, Jamie, thank you for chiming in and sharing that good comment about Coach here. Tell us, if you will, Coach, I think people would love a peek behind the curtain, if you will. And look, I know there are a lot of different seasons, if you will, within the seasons, right? That is different for whether it's 2-a-days in the summer or Friday Night Lights. But can you give us a little bit of a feel for what a day in the life for a football coach is? And maybe you can talk to us about off season, just all the different kind of aspects of it. Because I think a lot of us just show up and watch you maybe a half a dozen times a year in Ponchatoula. The diehards will travel, see you other places too. Of course, you guys have had longer seasons than most with all these playoff success you've had. But my point here is we don't really get a good appreciation for how much you're doing beyond the Friday Night Lights. So if you would, just kind of talk to us about what goes into the job.
Well, first off, my phone doesn't stop now. Like, it used to get a little break every once in a while between between coaches, players, college coaches, everybody just talking to you, trying to do their thing, try to get some players or one thing or the other. But a typical work week for us during the season is we start on like Sunday and we'll work till we get our game plan in. Sometimes we'll start at 4:00 in the afternoon. If we think it's a big game, we'll start at 8:00 in the morning and we'll go 5, 6, 7 hours or whatever it may take to get the film in. We watch a lot of us do we kind of give Saturdays off to kind of let you have family time, and we'll watch film all day Saturday and try to get ready for Sunday. And then Monday we practiced about 5:15, 5:30. Watch film after that. Then Tuesday we do it again, and then Wednesdays, if we have a JV game, we're there to 10, 11 o'clock at night. Thursday's a shorter day, and then Friday, hopefully we're ready to play. And during that time, our defensive coordinator's making a practice plan, making scout team cards. We make a practice plan with offense. We put in like a Google Docs sheet, and everybody puts their information in, and it's got to be ready for practice. And then you're trying to get kids prepared, whether we're watching film, study hall, whatever it may be. And then, right now over the summer, we practice and lift 3 days a week, and it's nonstop. No breaks.
It's supposed to be your off time. Yeah. We don't. Tell me this. Let's talk about your team a little bit. And by team, I mean your coaching team. Because it's been my understanding you were kind of the offensive guru, offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach. Now you're elevated to head coach. I'd love to hear how much you're still going to have your hands on the offense, and if you wouldn't mind, just share with us a little bit about who else helps you out, because I know you have a great staff.
Our defensive coordinator is probably one of the best high school coaches in the state. Like, he's real quiet. He could have easily been the guy that been the head coach at Ponchatoula. We've been very successful in the defense, and I think we gave up like 13 points last year, an average per game. And so we get him back, and he's also coaches linebackers, and I'm thankful to have him back because he's just a knowledgeable guy. I text him all the time. We talk all the time about, other things we got to do with practice to make it better. So, I'm really blessed to have a guy like that on my staff. We get one of our defensive line coaches he came back. He actually left for a semester, and then he's coming back to coach like defensive end, be special teams coordinator, a guy I trust a lot. And he was actually there for me when I flooded in 2016, and March 2016 when I didn't have flood insurance, and he was the guy that came there every day.
And who's this? I don't know if I caught the name. Who's this coach?
Doug King.
Okay.
Timmy Walters is our defensive coordinator. Doug King is going to be over special teams and defensive ends coach. We actually got a guy from Hammond to come over and coach the interior defensive lineman.
Who's that?
He actually played Taylor Cochran. He played at Southeastern.
Okay, cool.
And he played at St. Charles High School. And then we have another guy that I've been knowing for a long time, like at North Cypress, Donald Kelly. He's coming from Bogalusa, and he's going to coach in our secondary. Offensive side, Brett Van Pran is, I coached him in high school, and he's actually a baseball guy that's never played football. And people are like, how does he coach football? But he's actually a very smart guy that's very knowledgeable and studied and cared about learning about football. And so he's become a great coach, and he's our receivers coach, and he'll do a lot with the passing game. Our offensive line coach is Travis Michael, who, if you know anything about Southeastern football, he was the offensive line coach for Ron Roberts for, I don't know, 6-7 years at Southeastern, however long.
Wow, that's a huge get. Wow, yeah, impressive.
So he's going to be a lot of the run game, and then we have Kobe McDonald, who actually played slow pitch softball with his dad when I was like in my 20s, and he was the offensive coordinator at Independence, and so he brings some offensive coordinator knowledge and different things. So we got three guys on offense that has some kind of coordinator offensive mindset, whether it's passing, run game, or coordinator. So, I would like to add another guy on defense and offense, but, if we're not able to, or get the right coaches that fit in our office, then I'm excited with the guys we have right now.
Well, the Avengers come to mind here, man. It sounds like you've got a heck of a staff assembled here, so a lot of different talent. That's cool. We got a cool comment here. Speaking of the numbers,
that's the guy. He left us to go to Shaw.
Oh, yeah. Well, he says 2,332 passing yards, 2,428 rushing yards, 62 TDs, two-time undefeated district champs. Obvious is an understatement. He says, keep it rolling, Coach Trey.
I love Bo. I love me some Bo. But he's actually the defensive coordinator for Coach Hank at Shaw right now.
Well, Bo, congratulations on that. Yeah. The homecoming story for Coach Hank down there is really a heartwarming one. We're happy for all you guys. Speaking of great coaches in the New Orleans area, Ponchatoula boy who went down there and made quite an impact in New Orleans on that scene, Coach Justin Franks. Coach Franks, I hear a little bird tells me you retired from coaching. You're going to follow your family into the business sector. I'd love to get you on the show. One of the coolest guys in town. His sister was on our show a while back. But Justin says, Trey, you're going to do great. He was around you when you were a player and first started coaching at Southeastern, and you're a great person. So what do they say, Coach Franks? It takes one to know one. So you certainly described yourself as well as Coach Willie here. And Dana's back on here saying that, Bo, she misses you too. So that's funny that Coach Bo chimed in with all those stats. That's great. Well, what can obviously – it can get overwhelming when your phone doesn't stop. The job has changed, and although you were definitely like the right-hand man and highly responsible for a large part of the success under Coach Hank, now the responsibility is yours. What have been kind of some challenges so far? Where do you find, maybe if you're being honest with yourself, these are areas where I can improve, where I want to get better? These are areas where you feel like are already strengths as a head coach where, is that something you're comfortable to share with us? Or
yeah, probably just communication with the players and stuff like that. Because sometimes, being an offensive guy and being coaching for 15 years and then playing, a lot of things are in my head. And then I don't really communicate as well to those guys, like what I want or my expectations. It's probably just something, just if I get put it on paper, show them, do all that kind of stuff. That's probably the biggest thing. Probably my biggest asset is just being caring with his kids, just getting their respect, showing them that I love them and I care about them. And, that's
you definitely seem to have that master, because anywhere I go where we see folks and a lot of family friends and whatnot play for the team, and they seem to love you, man. They really do. They get it that you have their best interests at heart, that you got their back, and they really reciprocate that. That's cool. Well, I appreciate your candor there. One comment, I'm sorry here, I must have missed this the first time you asked. Your school board member here, Randy Bush, says, can he get a sideline pass? Randy, how you doing, brother? Good to hear from you, Coach. That's funny. Well, tell us, Coach, when you think about this job, what do you love about being a head coach so far that did not exist as an assistant? Are there new things to the job that are wholly head coach type things but that have really kind of gotten your juices flowing and you feel like, this is my jam?
Not really right now. I guess maybe on Friday night.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing that will, but like right now, it's, I feel like our coaching staff's working together and everybody's pulling their weight, and so I mean, we're kind of all doing it together. And I kind of tell them that all the time. We're one guy. It's not about me. It's not about this team. It's not about the coaching staff. It's about this whole family that we're going to build and be a part of, and this culture that we're trying to be, and trying to bring to this team and this community.
Well, hey, Rose Dominguez, our other school board member, has chimed in and answered the question for you. She says, no passes for Randy.
Miss Rose's son is our freshman coach and does a fabulous job.
Everybody's favorite All-American, Josh. Yeah, he was,
right.
I guess number 2 pole vaulter in the whole country at LSU. Heck of a guy, man. I love Josh. He's a great kid. Glad to hear you still have him on the staff. Rose says that you guys have a great family of staff, and she would know because she followed her son all around the country running. I mean, she's seen, everybody knows how great LSU track is, right? It's one of the best run institutions in all of sports. So if you guys weren't cutting it, she would know. But why don't we talk about the upcoming season? I mean, you mentioned earlier all these studs that we lost, these great players that made a huge impact. What do we have to expect? I mean, we're coming off this trip to the Dome and historic run of success. What do you think we have to expect this year?
It's going to be I'd say challenging, but that's just we're pretty much challenging ourselves to try to get back to where we were last year. And it's going to take a lot of hard work and dedication. But we lost 18 starters, so I mean that's a lot on a great team. But I feel like we have a lot of good players returning. Some of them just don't have the experience. Probably our front 7 on defense is probably our best, part of our program and our team. Kind of young on the back end and secondary, have some talent, but just, not as much playing time. A lot of those guys played multiple years, started multiple years. Our O-line, we have 2 returning starters who, played every down and, got some good experience last year. And, we lost the 2 Cohens on the left side. I told you before, they probably started 35 plus games in their 4 years of high school. And, but
wow. So, I mean, that's just so much institutional knowledge, so much comfort level. It's going to take a while for your quarterback to get comfortable back there and know that they're covering his blind side, right?
And we returned our quarterback. He was all district quarterback. One of the top quarterbacks in the state. He did get hurt in baseball, but he's been rehabbing and he's working his butt off. He did a throwing program yesterday, and I think it got everybody motivated at practice. So everybody's excited to see him come back. And
that's great. He's a heck of a player. We had his grandpa on the show last year, and that was a lot of fun. Mr. Irwin's a hoot, man. Randy Bush has come on. He's not asking about sideline passes anymore. He does want you to know we got another great head coach. And Randy,
Thanks.
I agree with you there. So it sounds like, Coach, you didn't use the term reload or rebuild. I know those are kind of loaded, hot take type words. But when you lose 18 starters, a lot of people have got to get out there and kind of get used to game experience, game speed. That's a lot. What about kind of coming up through the ranks? I mean, I'm sure you're peeking down into the junior high and see the players that'll be here soon. Your freshman team. Do we have reason to be confident in years ahead that we're going to continue to see kind of really good talent, or was this class that just graduated? I mean, it's kind of one of a kind, but are we going to continue to see SEC quality players come through here on occasion and tons of other collegiate level players and high school stars like we've had? Or
it's pretty it was pretty good that we had our 8th grade tryout in May, and we had 72 kids try out 8th grade to be freshmen next year, and that's probably the biggest one we've ever had.
That's amazing.
And then so we brought like 35 in over the summer, and they're getting stronger. It's probably the strongest group that we've had collectively over the years. So it's pretty impressive. Now, do we have the star power that we have with Jacoby, Braden Johnson, DeMontre Osby, Marion, Cody Finley, and that group? Probably not. But they got a bunch of kids that, that we can continue to get bigger, stronger, faster, that will perform well for us in 2 or 3 years, down the road. We actually have some, we actually have like we actually had a kid transfer in from John Curtis, a running back who's very talented. So we got kind of lucky with that one. And then we have another receiver / backup quarterback / running back that's got a lot of talent also. So we got some guys that are, they have the potential, and, we have some young freshman receivers that'll be sophomores next year that are pretty talented also. So, we still have some guys. It's just, it's going to be a little bit different than it was last year, but that's why they call me coach, right?
Right. Well, clearly this town has taken to you. We love what you're doing on the field, in the classroom, everything you got going at PHS. Why don't we flip the script a little bit and ask you about what's your experience been like in Ponchatoula? You're now kind of 9 years into your PHS. I might be wrong. Correct me with the real number, but you're pushing a decade at Ponchatoula High, so you're not the new kid on the block anymore. What do you feel about this community? What's it like coming from a place like Laranja to a place like Ponchatoula?
When we played Acadiana, and before that game, before we even got out to warm up, the stadium was packed. Mm-hmm. That was probably the greatest atmosphere, high school atmosphere. And we played in the Dome the next week, but that atmosphere just showed you like the love for the Ponchatoula has for this program, and this community has for our program. Our student body, they just go out and represent, Ponchatoula at our games, and, the student section is unbelievable. And like you said earlier, like we have basketball guys in the student section, baseball guys in the student section, softball, volleyball, girls basketball. They all go out there and they cheer for each other. And, I think that's important for our school and our athletic program, is that all these guys and girls, go and support each other. Going to watch our girls play for the state championship, that was, amazing. Right. A couple of those coaches went and watched our girls softball play in the first round the last couple of years, and we went to the baseball. It's just good to being out there and just kind of building that bond and that family with the entire athletic department.
Well, and speaking of getting out there, it seems like you guys are getting out in the community and through service doing good things. And correct me if I'm wrong, I seem to remember you and your squad going out for the Strawberry Festival to put up the safety fences. Y'all have done everything from blood drives to whatever, but I mean, is that something that's an important component of your program?
Without a doubt, because, at the end of the day, you want to get fans to come to games, and if you go out and help them, it means a lot more to them that, you're there for them. And,
right.
And it's not all about, getting donations or anything like that. It's just being a good human being, and I think that takes you a long way in life.
Well, I know you mentioned donations, and it's no fun to need to raise money, but of course it's part of what we need to continue to have success here. And you guys have a football golf tournament coming up, I think this Friday. Is that right?
This Friday, yes,
if
sir.
You wouldn't mind, share with us that event and how people can get involved and help. I know my good buddy Ben Perrin has been helping you with that for years, and always tries to get me involved. He does great work.
He's done a great job, and I think this is one. I think I talked to him yesterday, maybe Monday or Tuesday, I can't remember. But he was telling us that we have almost 100 golfers. So I don't know how many more golf areas we have open. Just any type of donations or anything like that help us give back to our kids. We try not to get our kids to spend as much money for whatever it may be, short practice clothes, anything like that, jerseys.
Right.
We try to keep that into just fundraising for us. But I don't know, like maybe it's late, I don't know in the system, but I mean, just keep it on your schedule for next year. It'll be around the same time, June. I know we do a gumbo cook-off, which is awesome for the community, and you see all the community members come out and about around March. And so, I mean, that's, it's always good when you get to see the community out and doing things like that.
And for folks who may not be able to make the golf tournament Friday, but maybe also don't want to wait till after the season in March, how can folks get to you if they just want to make a straight donation? Is there a P.O. box they should send it to, a booster president they should call? I mean, how can folks support the team financially outside of these special events?
Miss Rachel Strohmeyer is our Booster Club president.
Oh, yeah, she's great. Yeah.
She's a great lady, hardworking, and is doing an amazing job. So, I mean, if you can get in touch with her, or just, I mean, they can probably
Okay.
call up to the school, and, you know, any donations to any use Ponchatoula High football, you know,
Yeah.
and we can take care of it that way.
Very cool. Well, Coach, what have we not asked you about that you'd like to talk about? Anything on your mind, on your heart? We'd love to give you the opportunity to talk about anything you want.
I mean, I'm just happy with our coaching staff, happy with our players, the way they're working hard. You know, we got a long ways to go, but, you know, and I'm just excited about that and excited about the season.
Yeah, well, we are excited about having you as our head coach. This is a great development for Ponchatoula. And as I mentioned earlier, everybody I know that knows anything about high school football said this was just a slam dunk, you know, clear cut decision. So, hey, no pressure, right?
Yeah, no pressure.
But look, just
I
know
just
this.
hope I hope we can do well for them.
You know, look, I've been around 45 years. My dad's been here 80. You know, my family's talked a lot of football over the years. And what I can tell you here about Ponchatoula, you mentioned the commitment of this community. You got to see us at our finest hour come together for this great team where you guys were accomplishing things we'd never seen before. But know this, historically, we haven't won all our games. We have not been district champs, you know, that often until you guys got here with Coach Hank and Coach Baimani and whatnot. So you got a community that'll support you if you continue to just do what you sounds like you've already done your whole life, which is live the right way, you know, lead by example and with character. And I thank you for doing that for our community. We need it. You know, this is a one high school town. All roads basically lead through PHS for the most part here. And head football coach is a really big deal. The thing about high school is everybody remembers those 4 years vividly, right? I remember vividly the years before Coach Martin came and got us, you know, to a pretty good team. Like whether your team's good or bad, you remember it. And the lessons you learn from the leadership in your position are integral. And it's not just your players, Coach, that are watching. I know I'm not telling you anything you don't already know, but it can be nerds like me that are bookworms that take stats. It can be people that don't even have any relationship to the game. There's a lot of eyes on you. And I thank you for being up to that challenge because in this day and age, not everybody is. So to our viewers, we've had a great coach here and we thank him for being here and we will see you guys soon. Take care.